Hey guys, I'm Holly. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guys, I know how difficult it is to eat intuitively alongside your workout routine. Sometimes we find ourselves in the corner of not getting enough food to match our output. We feel run down all the time. We're not really ever feeling full, but at the same time, we might even be feeling bloated or not great in our clothes. How do we find the balance there such that calories in and out match each other, we feel good in our workouts, and we enjoy what we're eating? As we roll into the new year, we know this is the time of resolutions and lists and ways to change ourselves. I'm so happy and proud to tell you guys that I have finally created a life for myself that I'm proud of, that I'm patient with, that doesn't require me to start over every single year at this time. And I want to share those secrets with you today. I want to tell you everything I figured out about how to fuel myself, all my favorite foods, food groups, things I usually go to throughout the week, and ways to still fit in all that fun stuff and not be too hard on myself. We're going to get started right here. And definitely don't miss the end of this video because I'm giving you my 2 best tips for managing body image and what you look like, how you fit in your clothes with how you perform and how much energy you have. Guys, the first very important point I want to hit home is that food really has become my fuel. My best body, my highest energy levels have come from me treating it this way. Gas in the tank, the ability to do what I want to do. In the past, when I've used food as more of an emotional blanket or a fill-in for feeling low or depressed or dealing with something stressful, I've realized it's a very slippery slope because the line gets farther and farther away from me as far as what's required to make me feel better. So what might start as a bag of chips here and there to make you feel a little bit better on a crappy day can very much escalate to a daily routine. What happens is we start putting that bag of chips in our daily routine as something to look forward to in an otherwise maybe mundane situation. When I was working a lot more behind the desk jobs, I found myself using food as something to look forward to, whether it was candy or something else related to junk food. It really had nothing to do with needing that fuel and making myself feel better with it. It was more of like an entertainment purpose, and this can be a very, very slippery slope. So what I want to encourage you guys to do right away is remember that when we put good things in our body and the right amounts of it, we have less temptation for those things and we don't use the food as a distraction as much. So first thing we need to know is what you're going for. You need some semblance of a goal related to your body in order to hit it. Take it from me, I am setting a lot of goals right now related to my business and personal life, and what I've realized is I've been very gray about what I actually want. So until you can figure out that list, even if you don't have the order really of your goals, at least a list of what you want to achieve. And this is very important when it comes to your body because a lot of us want to get shredded and tiny and little, but yet we want to run a very hard race that requires a lot of training time, which then requires a lot of food to get us there. So first and foremost, we need to write down everything we're really looking to do. Do we want to lean out? Do we want to build muscle? Do we want to get strong overall? Do we want to run farther, faster? Do we want to lift more weight? For someone looking to completely change their body, you might look at someone doing a figure competition. Have you ever done research about what they're doing to get to that shape? It is very, very difficult, very restrictive. A lot of those people come down to eating very little towards the end, the actual competition, to look that way. Meaning it's going to be very hard for someone like that towards that competition day to actually perform in a way that might be like a long run or a strength session that's over an hour or lifting weight over and over and over again. So it's okay to have a bunch of different goals, but you first need to identify everything that's important to you, then we can start to order it. What I came to realize for myself was that yes, I want to be toned, I want to be fit, but I also want to have energy to do everything. So my top goals were I want to be able to run any distance I want, anytime throughout the year. I want to always be strong enough for that. I want to have the energy to work out once a day, if not multiple times a day, with of course having my weekly recovery day situated in there as well. I want to make sure I'm never ever getting injured. So I want to know my body well enough to know when I'm hitting that edge, making sure that I'm not overdoing it, but always being aware of what's going on. So I wanted to feel healthy overall, feel good in my clothes, but I was accepting of the fact that I wasn't going to be rail thin because I want to be doing all this activity as well on a weekly basis. One huge non-negotiable that I think needs to be on all of our goal lists is the ability to trust ourselves, believe that we are making the best decisions most of the time. I say that because it's taken me a long time to get here, but that guilt or that feeling we had that slice of cake or the glass of wine and we kick ourselves for 2 days and we have to undo it and all this is a pointless emotion, and it really actually adds stress, increases our appetite, and brings us down altogether. So I want to tell you guys, being able to trust yourself and setting up a good system for the majority of your week lets you live in peace, in happiness, in freedom. Let's dive into the logistics of how I eat. So I will say I probably do big cooking 3 times a week. When I say big cooking, I just mean using the oven, the stove, etc. The 3 times a week covers about 3-ish meals per time I cook. So things are spread throughout the week, and then I fill in with easier meals that don't require preparation. Now I'm gonna do a daily breakdown of during the week, what I eat, when I eat it. So typically my morning clients start at 6 a.m. So what I like to do is have what I call a mini breakfast before getting started with them. So I'll do a few bites of a bar usually. So that's a Perfect bar or a Bobo's bar, maybe a Cliff bar, usually something in those 3, but I'll have about half of it. So I'll say 100, 150 calories, just settles my stomach, especially since I'm gonna be drinking coffee for a few hours. Then when I'm done with my morning clients, I usually have a break around 9:30 or 10. This is when I have my big breakfast. I will always pretty much do eggs here. I'll do either 2 full eggs and an egg white or 3 full eggs. And then I'll sometimes do a little bit of avocado on the side, but typically just berries. And then either a gluten-free waffle or some brown rice or something, substantial on the side of that. That'll be my big breakfast. And then I probably won't eat again till about 1:30, 2 o'clock, because I typically have, again, clients around 11 and 12. So my lunch will be a bit later because I've had that big breakfast. My lunches and dinners typically look very similar in terms of layout and size, but not the same food. So I never usually double up what types of foods I'm eating in the same day. I still try to break those things up, but the size of the meal will look very similar because in that 11-12 period of clients, I'm typically running with them. That just is how my schedule usually shakes out. So by the time I come home for lunch, it's later, around 2 o'clock, like I said, but I'm pretty starving because I just worked out with them. Same thing at the end of the day. When I'm eating dinner, it's after my own personal workout. So HIIT class of some kind, F45, CrossFit, something active, strength-based. I'm definitely very sweaty. So I also am very hungry for dinner as well. And so these 2 things are laid out the same way. Protein, carb, veggie. Sometimes I add a side salad at dinner. Sometimes I add it at lunch, but it just helps fill me up if I need a little bit more. Big wide range when it comes to my proteins. I really don't discriminate against much, but on a weekly basis, typically I'm eating a lot of fish, salmon or white flaky fish of some kind. Sometimes I'll splurge on sea bass, scallops, or shrimp. Chicken, of course, I'll do it in the air fryer or in the oven. Cook the tenders, those are really fast to cook, and they just cut really easily, which is nice. For red meats, I love doing like a ground bison or ground venison, definitely ground beef as well. I typically go for, I think, 80% lean, 20% fat. I just feel like, again, there's just more flavor in there, and I want the food to taste good. I don't want to constantly be looking for the leanest cut of meat. It just sometimes is really bland. Frozen turkey burgers, super easy there as well. Every once in a while I'll do steaks. I'm not great at cooking them, but I try to sear both sides and then finish in the oven, and that's the best for not having a grill. Outside of that, guys, with my carbs, I've given this spiel many, many, many times, but I love rice. White rice, brown rice, doesn't matter. I love pasta. I typically try to choose a pasta that's more friendly to feeling full. So I like a gluten-free option or a brown rice pasta, maybe quinoa-based pasta. I just feel like it fills me up a little bit more fibrous. Lately, I've been really into Banza pasta, which is the chickpea-based pasta. It actually tastes really good too. It's a little sweet. I'm not a huge sweet potato fan, and I know it's such a good source of energy, long-lasting, low glycemic energy. It just isn't my flavor preference. So I've kind of just decided to lean into what I actually like, and I don't force myself to eat as many sweet potatoes, but I do like mini regular potatoes. So I'll cut those up, throw them in the air fryer or in the broiler, little seasoning on there and oil, and those cook really quickly as well. Other than that, I'll have some wheat toast occasionally if I'm out of ideas. Gluten-free waffle, I'm not afraid to sub that in at lunch or dinner. And I think that pretty much is everything for carbs. Now for veggies, of course I like my green Vegetables, I'm really always looking for the green vegetables: asparagus, broccoli, zucchini, Brussels sprouts. I love all of those. Anything with a lot of water content I find just fills me up more. So zucchini is a great example. That can really make me feel full, which is nice. I eat a lot of vegetables. It's definitely the biggest portion on my plate. I would say protein is somewhere between carb amount and veggie amount. And carbs I actually am not afraid of having a lot of, especially if I'm post-workout. I feel like that's the time to burn it up, and it's really just, you know, making me feel good and satiated, so I don't need to go snack on a bunch of stuff after the meal. Additionally, with the veggies, guys, one of my meals I usually throw in a side salad. That'll be butterleaf lettuce or maybe some arugula and some massaged kale with oil, lemon juice, and then maybe a little bit of a white balsamic vinegar on top. So very, very simple there. I don't get complicated, just something again to kind of add calories, make me feel a little bit more full. And I've also started doing my greens powder every morning. So I'm just hyper focused right now on getting as many nutrients, vitamins, minerals as I can. And I've noticed my energy is higher when I'm prioritizing that as well. So that covers the main food groups there. As far as snacking goes, I will say I usually have something right before that afternoon workout. Very random snacks I have in my pantry. Typically I'll have something like maybe a Chomp, which is those kind of like healthy Slim Jims. Apparently no sugar or preservatives in there, which is good. And I'll do a handful of nuts with that. So it might be pine nuts I've been really into, pistachios, unshelled, maybe some almonds or a scoop of almond butter. But that fills me up and makes me feel ready to go. And I could literally eat that 10 minutes before the workout and not feel weighed down or nauseous or anything like that. Also, if you guys have seen my other videos on the channel, you know how active my lifestyle is. So I do really prioritize protein, but instead of making it the main event of one or two of my meals, you can see I spread it through everything. There's some protein in pretty much every single thing that I touch throughout the day. And I find that's a really nice way to get it all in without feeling overwhelmed. And of course, we can't forget about dessert, one of my favorite parts of the day. I do limit myself to just having one dessert per day. So I pick if I want it to be after my lunch or after my dinner. But when we get in the habit, very slippery slope, of having something sweet after every time we eat a meal or a snack, I know a lot of people who do that, it just adds all these extra calories that we're not really getting any use from. Dessert's the one category that doesn't quite fuel us the way that everything else does. So we typically get that little energy spike from the sugar and then we crash and burn. And the rest just kind of sits there as fat for us, not really helping us use it as fuel. So I would say, guys, just pick once a day for your dessert and make it something you really enjoy. I keep milk chocolate in my pantry or ice cream in the freezer. Big ice cream fan. Little hint right now, if you guys go to Trader Joe's, they have a gingerbread ice cream right now that is insane. It is so good. I wish I never tasted it, honestly, but there's the secret right there. I've mentioned before too, if I have a sweeter, more fun coffee in the morning, I've lately been very much back on the black coffee train, but if I have more of a fun coffee, I tend to count that as my dessert. So if I were to have anything else sweet in the day, it'd be like a bite of something or 2 bites of something, typically trying to balance all that out, because it does count and it is quite high sugar content for the morning. So that's my advice on the dessert front. Make sure it's something you actually feel satisfied from. And if you don't have a sweet tooth at all, God bless you, that is awesome. Now I'm going to disclose my big master list of mindful eating tips. These have really helped me. I took a long time on this list. I hope they help you guys too. Number 1 being, food is our fuel. Like I said in the beginning of this video, it is not our source of entertainment. Here's an example from the last year that I noticed about myself. I've always been a plain water drinker, never needed anything in it, don't really drink soda. That being said, this last year, I started bringing a lot of LaCroix home. So I got to the point where every time I was gonna have water, it needed to be sparkling and or flavored. Not that LaCroix is bad, but it certainly isn't the same as normal water, and I realized that my dependency on that, or looking to that as my source, can start showing up in other areas. So like I mentioned with the bag of chips, the second it starts becoming a fun thing we look forward to, it kind of can spiral as a habit, one we might not have chosen otherwise. On the note of water, also drinking as much as I possibly can, minimum 2 liters a day, but hopefully more, especially if you're sweating. I really like to batch my water before bed, even if it means needing to get up and pee in the middle of the night. I, for a long time, would drink a full liter of water before bed every single night, and I slept like a rock. But if you can't do that, try to spread it out as best you can throughout the day. Next rule, no sweets until after I've had my veggies. This goes for my dessert, so after lunch or after dinner, I don't get my sweets until I've had my veggies. This also really just helps with my stomach. If I have random chocolate in the middle of the day on an empty stomach, I'm gonna feel like shit. Highly recommend making sure it's paired with your actual meal, with your actual nutrients. Next tip, guys, be more aware of the beverages you're consuming outside of water throughout the day. These really add up, and I'm not talking about from a caloric standpoint. A lot of these drinks have things in them that affect how we eat and how our energy goes up and down throughout the day, especially how we sleep at night. So when it comes to caffeine, of course, we want to put that in the front half of our day. I know there's a lot of people that can drink caffeine well up until they're going to bed and they're fine, but you do tend to be able to rest a little bit better when it's not still affecting you in some way. So I like to keep my caffeine towards the first half of my day. Additionally, any sweeteners, additives, anything in those drinks we're having, so Celsius, soda, the coffees, like I said, with the creamer, the sugar, all that in there is going to affect how we eat as well. When we get those sugar spikes up and down, we have more trouble controlling or sensing our actual appetite. So you want to just be aware of how many of those types of drinks you're having. Try to sub in a little bit more water if you find yourself leaning on those beverages throughout the day. Next one, guys, make sure when you get home and you're starving and you still have all your cooking to do, you stop what you're doing and make a little snack. That's gonna hold you over so you can still make your healthy meal and get the calories from the foods you originally wanted to. When we come home and we're starving and we grab whatever we can until we're full, we end up making a bunch of choices we didn't originally intend to make. So I recommend having just a couple hundred calories to hold you over, then get to your cooking. You can still enjoy your process after that. I recommend low sugar for this, something similar to what I said before my workout. Some nuts, a chomp, maybe a little bit of almond butter on an apple, something that's gonna hold you over enough. You will fill up enough to be able to cook. It's very hard to see that when you're starving. You think you need a bunch all at once, but just a little bit to hold you over, and then you can make your proper decisions. We don't always get to time our cooking the way we want, so I just recommend listen to your body, fill it up when you're hungry, but still be able to lay out the original meal plan. Guys, when it comes to cooking, by the way, like I mentioned before, I like splitting up my meal prep. When I've put it all on one day before, Sundays I'm gonna meal prep for the whole week, I find that it kind of just weighs down my weekend and it becomes this big job. When I break it up throughout the week, I just feel a little bit more invigorated, and I like how my food is a bit fresher when I eat it. So I'll cook maybe on a Monday, I'll have meals through Wednesday, cook again on Wednesday, etc. And it just helps. You can be inspired by things throughout the week. Maybe somebody tells you about something and it makes you want to go find a recipe and you can try it that night. And it just takes some of the load out of when you're actually doing the cooking. Even if you guys don't enjoy cooking, try and make it as therapeutic and enjoyable as possible. I love throwing on a podcast or one of my favorite playlists. I love jazz music when I'm cooking, or I'll throw on a Warriors basketball game, have that in the background. Maybe I'll call somebody and have them on FaceTime. These things all make it feel a little bit more interactive, especially if you're alone. So make cooking a little bit more fun that way, or involve your family. Also a really good bonding way to do it. My mom was an incredible cook, and I really, really wish I had spent more time helping her in the kitchen to learn, but I really valued those memories I do have. Finally, guys, I promised you 2 major tips to help you really solidify your mindset around eating and working out and liking your own body. Take it from this ex-ballet dancer, guys. I spent over 20 years of my life very serious in the ballet world. I have struggled with body image, all areas of it, feeling confident in my body, feeling confident in my decisions that I make, and having the energy to do everything that I want. So if I'm speaking to you guys right now and you're looking for the energy to keep up with your kids, or the ability to train for and finish a marathon, maybe just the strength and courage to get in the gym for the first time in your life, I want to tell you right now, living and dying by the plus-minus system is going to ruin your life. If you have that handful of chips and you drop down thinking you need to do 20 sit-ups to make up for it, or you have a burger on a Saturday that you weren't planning on and you think you have to go run 5 miles the next day to earn that burger or burn it off, you're gonna be in for a world of hurt. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it is not the way to do it. The best body I've ever gotten, I feel like is right now, the healthiest I've ever felt, I feel right now, and it's from my ease, my peace of mind, my trust in myself. not making more work for myself in my decision making. So I really encourage you guys, don't get so caught up in the little nitty gritty of every single day. We are human beings. We can trust ourselves to make good decisions. And by laying good foundation, we really won't get stopped or held up by these little things. We are supposed to have the ice cream. We're supposed to have the little treat. We're supposed to be able to have a drink with our friends. All that stuff together is what makes us have a nice, full, happy life. So when we get so in the inner workings of the day that we can't actually enjoy any of it, we get really hyper stressed. I think that's when our appetite goes haywire. Our cortisol shoots through the roof. And that's when we start making really intense decisions, maybe into that binge eating area, whatever. So just trust yourself. You're not a bad person. You're not a terrorist for having that burger. You are okay, and you don't need to go work out every time you do something a little bit off diet. Guys, the final thought I want to leave you with today is very near and dear to my heart. Our health is everything we have. Nothing else in our life can happen without a healthy body. Take it from me losing my mom in the last 2 years to cancer. I really had to sit down and realize we have one body. It's up to us to make it last and take care of it. So I hope these tips help you guys realize you have the control over all this, and that should already give you a ton of confidence. It's up to us how we want to build out our lives to feel our best, look our best, and everything in between. Don't take anything for granted, guys. Set the example for the rest of your family. Pass this video along to somebody who you think might need it, and I will see you guys again soon. Have a great one. Bye.